to make sure that Kael sticks near Hope, and I want to see Hope if he can get his hands back on that Yunara to get his redemption arc on that Yunara. So that's what I'm going to look out for, is Hope on a hyper carry such as that and getting his redemption.
All right, well, we're getting into the draft now. AL will have that first pick, obviously, and WE had chosen that blue side, but we'll see in the end what kind of first pick priorities are going to be looking like. The Rumble comes through. That's a tried and true classic, as well as a comfort from Cube as well. The Ashe, maybe the Seraphine to follow here for WE. We saw it at a little graphic post on Twitter, one of the best bot lane duos we've seen, at least last week in the LPL as well.
Yeah, my eyebrows were immediately raised when I realized that Rumble was left open. So that was pretty perplexing me. I mean, that champion is completely broken, right? Drew 11, please send help. But yeah, so this is the kind of draft where both teams probably knew what they were getting themselves into. Like, this first 3 picks for each side are kind of probably already fully thought out. This is kind of pretty standard. You know, you can see they're immediately drafting it, right? As soon as the Rumble comes in, bang, Ashe Seraphine, bang, Ezreal Bard. All this is completely planned out. This is where it's going to get really interesting, you know, implementing the second ban phase to try and see if you can snipe what the enemy team is looking for here. So I suppose as AL, this Ambessa is a hypothetical flex pick, but I know that a lot of people really quite like the Ambessa matchup into the Rumble. You can just have ridiculous amounts of shielding with Hex Drinker and Eclipse and just absorb all of his damage and just be a really powerful character come into the mid game. So I'm not really sure what each team is looking for here. If I were to think about it a bit, it's that no mid laners have been selected yet, and AL is going to get the first choice of that. So that's a bit interesting to me that they would ban Azir. However, their comp is pretty heavy magic damage right now. Unfortunately, there's like no good physical damage mid laners in the meta as far as I'm concerned. So
my God, the jungle bans.
We'll have to see.
That's 3 Tarzan bans from WE, by the way.
Yeah,
taking away some
of
his most potent picks. Still has some options on the table, obviously. The Nefiri is something I look at as well, but with all the lockdown they have, I feel like Nefiri is going to be really tough to play. We'll see, though, as WE will end up having that counter pick here, so we'll see what they want to kind of save that for. If it's going to go towards Monki, if they're going to think about giving it to Karis.
Yeah, I mean, Nocturne is still open. I feel like that champion is just really strong right now. I'm not really sure what other jungler picks you would really want to look for here. I mean, Xin Zhao somehow is still open as well. I can't believe that I'm saying that, actually. So I feel like you've got to pick one of those two, but you can maintain the Ambessa flex for the meanwhile. So the anti-blind, I don't know how I feel about that.
Give the resources to Monki. Counter pick for Monki, play around Monki, give him all the setup tools. That is what we're seeing from WE, and I absolutely love it because they have very much picked a comp that can play around their jungle. And we do see the Mel come through for AL. We'll see what the follow-up is going to be for old Tarzan there as he goes with the lockdown potential of the Skarner. A lot of CC chaining possible here with this AL comp.
Yeah, that is a lot of CC, but there is pretty bad news in terms of this draft for them. It's that it's probably one of the greatest Merc Treads angles of all time if you're WE here. And quite frankly, that can matter quite a bit because their physical damage profile is extremely low this game. They've quite literally only got like Ezreal Q, and obviously, I mean, Ezreal as a marksman, he's going to do a lot of physical damage, but that's just one character. That's it.
Let's go.
Wow, the Ambessa jungle, I think it makes a lot of sense because if it's going to be Skarner, Ambessa is going to be able to, you know, duel with the tank like that and offer a lot of damage. And you can just pick Sion, Sion has just always been a staple pick for so many patches now. So if anything, you get to have that as an extremely tanky champ juggernaut in the top lane, and it's now out in the Fearless because, of course, you know, both teams are going to be wanting that. So I don't know. Whose draft do you prefer? I think I prefer WE low-key because, I don't know, it's a lot of magic damage, man.
If I'm AL, I would like to mulligan a couple cards because the only one we got so far is the roaming of Kael because he's on Bard. So I'm here. Sure. I'm happy with that one, but you can only mulligan 2 cards. So I don't know how we're going to work through that. I'm very curious. I think the bar of execution for AL is very high. I think best case scenario for W, this comp looks lethal as hell. But then you also have to factor in that W have not been able to put together games consistently. So how much is that going to matter in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, I mean, I remember that the point I was sitting on was that I want to see WE draft something that has some elements of volatility. This isn't necessarily exactly what I had in mind, but I do quite like it because you're getting the most considered overpowered bot lane pairing, you know, and you pick that on your first rotation, that's going to be pretty helpful to just have that on your team in general. You almost always are going to want Ashe Seraphine in any draft. And this Ambessa champion can do some ungodly things, can just do some magic tricks on this champion. You can quite literally take over team fights dealing 10,000 damage. So I'd like to see if Monki can do so.
Well, we're going to find out here real quick as we're getting in the first series of the night. Can WE win their first game of the split, or can AL redeem themselves? We already get it, a first blood potential here. Kael going down, and the WE emote comes out before the Gyos even come out.
Yeah, we're waiting on the Gyos, and that's not good at all for Team AL. This is beautiful. Looks like
best case scenario for WE.
Love to see it. Yeah, that's going to really give them an advantageous start to this game. And coming in as the underdog, that's exactly what not only they want, but we as the audience want to see as well. That's definitely going to put them on the front foot in this game and definitely going to give them a really solid chance here.
Now bot lane is in a little bit of trouble here in terms of prio in the lane because, you know, obviously Kael having to run all the way back from base. But that might be something that comes back to bite them. We'll have to keep an eye out. But so far we have pushing prio from majority of members, if not all lanes for WE. And so I guess before we get too far into this game, even with the first kill going over to WE already, like, are you pretty settled with this WE comp? Do you feel like this gives them the best opportunity to win a game?
Yeah, one of the upsides of this comp is honestly the ease of execution. Because, for example, you've got Annie in the mid lane, need I say more? You've got Sion in the top lane, need I say more? Right? And you've got Ashe Seraphine. That's pretty much, if you're a professional competitive bot lane duo, you know, and you're not proficient on the Ashe Seraphine, then what the heck are you doing, right? So obviously they're going to be quite experienced on this. So if anything, the only champion who has some difficulty in piloting is this Ambessa here for Monki. So, you know, it's just going to come down to how much mechanics he has on this champion. There's a lot to look out for. One of my good friends is considered one of the better, if not the best, perhaps, Ambessa on the NA server. He's actually in KR right now. His name's Ninky, and he is really, really good. And I've seen exactly what to look out for on this Ambessa. There's a lot of neat tricks you can do to get some extra damage or to optimize your dashing. So I'm going to keep a close eye on Monki's Ambessa this game, and I'm going to give you a rating after all is said and done to see if he has the green light from me on picking this again.
I like it. I like it. We'll keep an eye on. But those are the two big spotlights here in the jungle matchups. As we check in with them, though, they are going to be finishing their first clears. Kind of splitting the Scuttle Crabs already as well, but I don't expect a lot of action earlier on. I think both of them really want to wait for that level 6 mark to have some proactivity. Monki's going to go ahead and take his back, even though Arha was giving some pressure to Kael. But is it going to be that kind of wait and see what happens till we get to some of these majority team fights for both these junglers? Or do you expect to maybe see some action a little bit earlier on in the game between them?
So if we're playing for WE's advocate here, what you want to be looking for, in my opinion, is you really want to make use of this 400 gold lead that you spawned into the game with on a bout. So you want to get that recall off, really, you know, turn that gold lead into your inventory and start to capitalize on it. Once Ashe redeploys onto the map with the spent gold, that should give you really good conditions to get the first Drake. And unfortunately, it's only a 300 gold lead after the -1. But yeah, this is going to definitely be what I'm going to look out for, is them really playing towards this bot side here. The only kind of iffy thing for me is that Annie doesn't have the flash yet. Of course, that was the price that was paid for the first blood. So you're not going to be able to necessarily flash Tibbers in this dragon play if AL is going to want to contest. And since this is the LPL, and every single game I've pretty much ever watched of this league, no objective is given over for absolutely free. It's going to be interesting to see if WE is going to be able to guarantee this Hextech Drake that is spawning here, because you know that AL is not going to go out into the night.
I don't know, though. You see that Ashe Seraphine on the other side, I think twice.
You should.
That
you very
combo,
well should.
that thing, that scares me. That duo has just been absolutely insane. It's just so oppressive as well, and that gives them so much prio down here to play towards this early dragon. Now there will be the grubs coming up in 3 minutes, but W want to fully center around this bot lane. Unfortunately, Monki does not know he's on a ward, so we'll see if they actually do want to move up towards this earlier objective, but Tarzan's going to be okay with just continuing to farm his side of things, get to that level 6 mark with the Impale, and become a little bit of a facilitator for the team.
It looks like both teams have pretty solid information.
Why is he waiting to kill them?
I know why. I can tell you exactly why. Would you like to know? If you look at the scoreboard there, you see how his Scorchling Pup, I believe it's called,
it was on
has
cooldown.
20 stacks. You see, had he slain that camp before minute 530, it would have 21, and his smite would only be 600. Now he's got the 1k smite because of his patience.
Huge. Let's go, Foles. Let's go. All right, he's going to get his second.
Well.
Hey, there you go. You learn something new every day. Yeah, this is, they're going to start it up. There's a Tibbers utilized in mid lane. You cannot reflect the Tibbers. I'll just tell you that. As it does get a little bit of lockdown going over towards Karis. Kael has roamed, and that was that first card we pulled. It does burn the flash pretty much on cooldown from Karis. They did not get the dragon either, so that's a little bit of a toughie. Yeah,
so remember we were referring to my favorite 2 cards in the AL deck here for Riftbound, and you know, we didn't get one of them, which was the Tarzan on the carry champ, but as you've been highlighting, we did get one of the utmost important ones, which is Kael on the roaming champ. And honestly, frankly speaking, from watching Kael play, I think his Bard doesn't just rival Carius, it might be just as good, if not better, because I think those two are the best Bards in the entire world. Kael is essentially a Bard one-trick deluxe. Like, he can play Bard as good as any human on the planet to a one-trick level, right? And he can play all the other supports as well. I think this is Kael's by far and away best champion, this and his Poppy. So to have him on this is really going to enable them in this early game. And as a matter of fact, it's completely swung it around because this was supposed to be WE's Drake, but based on a few of lack of synchronization, for lack of a better term, they weren't able to execute the play, and now that's going to end up being AL's Drake, probably off the back of Kael for the most part.
And it's almost perfectly timed for them to transition up towards the top side as well to contest for the Grubbies. They're going to be coming up here shortly. Let's see which setups we get from either side. Is there a team that you kind of favor now that we're hitting these level 6s around this Grub fight?
Yeah, well, until the Merc Treads come in, they've got ridiculous amounts of CC from this Annie Seraphine Ashe. The thing is, you're probably not going to have the Ashe at the Grub fight, though, so it's not going to be able to be the easiest usage of Seraphine's E, where it's just completely broken and it counts as a stun because they already start off as slowed. So, fortunately, their tempo is a bit late as well here. It's pretty crazy that AL is just going to get both the first objectives uncontested, and their comp does scale pretty well. Cube was going to want to have something to say about that.
And he wants to pressure Tarzan out. He's pretty tanky. And Cube himself, by himself, will secure a singular grub for WE. Let's go, baby. A little bit of top lane diff right there, Foles. As we did see some pressure gained by WE in the bot side jungle and the river.
I mean, we absolutely take those as WE because it's really quite nice. And the bonus there is that your Scion taking the grubs, and you see those, not just those big grubs, but those tiny little grubbies, you know, that's going to give him a lot of extra health as well.
Ooh. A little bit of play in mid lane. Shanks is going to burn the flash. The public execution was not able to connect, but you can see some of that instant engage potential that WE is rocking this time around. That ease of execution of just land a couple abilities and you're going to be able to follow it through. As another one comes here, it's not going to hit. Shanks barely dodging out of the way, but expertly done.
And this is why they're pro players, that input there from Shanks to dodge the arrow, because that arrow was placed directly on his path. If Shanks doesn't adjust his pathing with that click there, it's going to hit him. And that's just an example of why these are some of the best players in the world. Really good clicks from Shanks there. In fact, the only reason that he was able to flash Monkey's ult in the first place is all thanks to that Merc Treads rush. So it looks like Shanks is really playing to, you know, make sure that he avoids a lot of this early game pressure that Annie can provide, especially in tandem with M-Best.
And this is something I really love from AL. This is something in their best moments. This is how they play. Kael is just oppressive with the jungle control, with the vision control, paired up with Tarzan. They are duoed up, and look how deep their warding is on that red side of WE. They can play completely around this bot lane if they want to, but it's just something that we've seen time and time again from AL is they love to exert control into the enemy jungle in quadrant by quadrant base.
Right. If we think back to some of the story painting we were doing earlier, it was that WE is almost, and particularly Monki here, is almost always hovering and playing around this bot lane with his proximity here. So we're going to want to see if that continues to be their game plan that they've been, you know, employing over the course of this season. And Monki with his next ultimate, he wants to use that towards this bot side here. We see a trade of ults in the top lane. Again, I highly doubt Monki is going to visit this lane even once in the first 15 minutes. So
yo,
keep
the
our eyes on
hubris
Monki
start.
I love that. I love that. I saw the serrated dirt come in. I saw the Caulfields, and I was like, is he gonna do the most base thing ever of buying, you know, a hubris in a tier 1 pro match? And he absolutely does. And you just gotta respect him for it. He's got aura for it.
Yeah, I'm absolutely here for it because you know, go big or go home. We also see the protoplasm harness on the other side for Tarzan, another new item coming in 2026. As the Dragon setup has begun yet again, 50 seconds away from AL claiming a potential second Dragon if they want to stick around. There will be a lot of vision play down here by both sides. I'll see if they want to revisit as both junglers are going to try to go clear a little bit more.
So typically you're rushing Profane Hydra on the Ambessa jungle. It offers you a lot of efficiency in terms of clear speed and a lot of AoE damage, which you really love, you know, based on your kit with your Q and your E, etc. So the reason that Hubris, or the only way rather that Hubris can actually be a better item to opt for as your first item is if you're able to use its passive, right, which involves killing people. So in order to do so, the only real champion you can look for here is Shanks with no flash, right? You're not really getting through a protoplasm harness Tarzan. As we said, Monki doesn't really ever go top anyways, so I highly doubt he's gonna look for Flandre, and Hope Kael have all their sums. It's Ezreal Bard with Arcane Shift, with, you know, the magical journey. The only way to stack this hubris, as far as I'm concerned, is Shanks or a huge fight down here, which I would
all right, this is the first time we're seeing WE's comp come together. I think this is an important moment. The TP is going to come in on the backside from Flandre. He's not going to be answered with Cube, so it's going to be a 5v4 right now. Arha just gets completely shut down. The flash impale comes through from Tarzan, and that's the facilitation from the GOAT in the jungle. And that's going to be a big 2-kill play from AL.
They just have so much awareness, Mazel. They're timing summoner spells to the T. They knew Cube had no TP there, and they knew that WE was overstepping by posturing for that Drake. And I think WE quite frankly disrespected AL's awareness here, but they've got a chance to res this play.
50-50. This is going to be the knock into the wall. Oh. You got the Dragon Monkey, but what did it cost? It might have also costed your life, as we are going to see so much damage head his way. Kael barely escaping for the moment from Cube, but Cube has now found a flank angle. He's going to immediately flash over the thick part of the wall, get wall banged there as well, and just be taken down. Shanks gets another one, and Shanks is on 3 kills early on into this game.
Thank goodness for all the WE fans in the world that Monki smites that trick, because or else this game is probably completely cooked from this result right here. You know, you see Flandre really making use of that discrepancy in CC time. Meanwhile, Arha here, he should have flashed way sooner after he CC'd there. He's never going to live. And unfortunately, with the positions that they're finding themselves in there,
they're going to try to get Shanks. Rebuttal came through. Really nice flash from Shanks, but I don't think it was enough. About goes down. The 1-for-1 in the bot lane. Kael comes through, but it will be a trade.
I mean, you absolutely take that because your Ambessa has hubris and just got 700 gold, Mazel. This champ can completely pop off now.
Stall's impact was stopped there, but the Impale tries to come through, gets Karis' flash. Dude, Karis has had to burn his flash on cooldown 3 times in a row. That's crazy.
I really do like the Skarner pick. You know why? Is because Annie, Seraphine, and Ashe, they can't do anything. If a Skarner is just Ixtal's impacting towards them, you're just gonna get rammed into the wall and impaled. You don't have any sort of mobility to evade that. There is one nifty trick that mid laners around the world have finally discovered thanks to a wise young fellow in the Republic of Korea called Genji Chovy. And
I think you might know him.
yeah, maybe you've heard of him, maybe not. Actually, fun fact, a belt guy did play on the same team as him for a few games while Ruler was taking a break in the preseason. But yeah, it's gonna be the Rocket Belt. You're gonna want to really see this on the Annie so that you can actually avoid all these Skarner ganks and not have to flash every 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's a tough place to be in, and now WE in an even more tough place as they do lose that Rift Herald. All of AL kind of streaming up towards this top side. They just want to use the Rift Herald to take down the turret. Karis and Monki were trying to set up a play here, but he's going to go straight onto Karis. He does end up getting the impact through, and that's going to be an instant burn onto Karis. You thought Annie had the fire, but it turns out Shanks was the one that controlled it all along. The 1-piece fans out there are going to be a little bit happy as Monki does end up just dying to Flandre's burn. And it's looking like AL's back in this one at least. WE have fumbled the ball, and AL picked it up every time.
Yeah, Monki just gets completely incinerated by Flandre there. That was ridiculous. That's probably why you're not wanting to... That's probably why Rumble has such a high ban rate, Mazel, because that was absolutely crazy amounts of damage. But, yep, there he goes, completely into the green screen realm here.
You know, we're going to go back to our opening hand because they were ahead at 15 minutes, and we did say they have a 100% win rate at 15 minutes with a lead. So maybe they'll keep on to that as Enchanted Crystal Arrow dodged out over the Arcane Shift, and unfortunately the Unstoppable Onslaught will also go a bit wide. Hope, even with the little amount of mana he had, is perfectly fine. AL find themselves at a 4.5k lead almost 7 minutes into the game, with another dragon coming up in about 1:20.
We're going to take another look at this here. I really like the spawning, the usage of the Rift Herald here. This is not a safe position for WE due to the legs of the Rift Herald. There's just nothing you can really do to survive this. And unfortunately here, the numbers that AL is bringing, this is the map play that we're used to seeing from AL, just really making use of all of their tools, all of their champions. You saw such good usage there of the Rift Herald, Tarzan's kit, of the Tempered Fate.
Yeah.
There's no counterplay there as WE.
The little thing there is that he didn't slam Karis into the wall, which I think, obviously gets a big stun up, but he knew that you were going to be able to get the lockdown anyways with Shanks, so he brought him even further outside of turret range. I love little things like that. As speaking of, there's a couple little things fighting a really big thing in the bot lane, and we'll see if they're enough. It's going to be like a Godzilla fight here. As Cube is fine, he will end up backing away. A lot of pressure is going to be coming on this bot side because AL decided to funnel so many resources down there now. I do like that WE are trying to be proactive on the top side of the map and get a trade.
Yeah, the thing is, I think they're almost being too proactive here. They've got 4 champions fixated around this tower, and AL's position is so clever. If there's going to be 4 champions up there, whoever you send can just get completely deleted. So why send anyone? You're probably just going to die, right? Just keep playing.
Dude, it's
towards
a base
this
race
side down here. Yeah, well, how did we get here?
Just going an old-fashioned base race, baby. Plates be damned.
Yeah, the only thing is that they've got 4 champs here where they've only got, 2 or 3 down there in the boss. So all this XP and gold is being shared. So these champions aren't really progressing their, their items or their levels here. So sure they get the tower, but I think that they're gonna need to have some kind of a farming round here to really keep up, because if you look at these inventories, there's a lot of huge discrepancies here. And I called on it earlier, but it looks like Shanks is actually, an attendee of the Church of Chovy, because he's already picked up that rocket belt for himself, and Karis on the meanwhile still has yet to complete his. So that's that biggest gold we've got here, and you can see it fully itemized already.
Oh man, and Monkey's just gonna get ran through here as well. True Shot Barrage on top of it. as the encore comes through, but it might not be enough. Public execution goes back to try to get Shanks. Shanks gets shut down. That's a massive shutdown for WE. AL overextended their hand. They will get one back. Tarzan going for the blast cone. He should be fine. And here comes Flandre as well with his flame spitter burning everybody down. Tarzan even throws another rock over the wall and gets the help with the kill. It's going to be the knockdown with the decimating smash coming through here. Kael still skirting the edges of possibility, and Cube cannot get him. Hope takes the kill, and AL find an even further gold lead in game 1.
This AL comp with this kind of a lead is extremely impressive, Mazel. You can hardly even counterplay any of this as WE. You see just how hard they try to kill Tarzan there, and he's completely unkillable with this build he's got here. This 2-level lead, this protoplasm harness, you just can't really die. Thankfully, they're able to find this look here on the Shanks, spending as much as is necessary to take out that kill, but yeah, just look at this value this item that Tarzan has is getting, and he's just completely unkillable, gets the movement speed, gets the healing, builds himself a distance, and Cube here, a very bold and ambitious flash.
Oh my god, we didn't see Tarzan kill Oh,
wow. That's...
Tarzan's back. The MVP's back. His seat was left warm for him, you know?
I mean, low-key pun intended, that's gotta sting, because he literally just got... You would think that you're out and that the play's over, but bro just comes back with an extra 1k health and just one-taps you into the wall, man. That's gotta sting.
That does indeed, and even if Shanks got shut down, he is still masterfully ahead. 2.5k lead. Does have kind of a half item, almost full item completion over Karis. It's going to be important to keep an eye on.
So one of the reasons, of course, why if we even get the chance to talk on it here, never mind, we got AL starting up the Baron. How are you possibly going to enter this as WE? This could be a pump fake, but I have a feeling it's quite a real attempt here at finishing this.
I think it's absolutely real that they want to fight. That's going to be the tip of fate coming through. They're going to get the execution there onto the back line. They do end up getting one big impale coming through, though, and there's the golden eclipse to even the odds. Here comes Flandre with his flame spitter again, burning Monki down. Monki just gets smote there by Shanks and his golden light, and Tarzan and Kael will chase down the scraps left. Cube, the only one left from WE, but the wall will fall nonetheless. Straight to Baron, AL can go and further this lead here.
Yeah, I'm honestly looking for some silver linings for WE in this game 1 here. Something that they're doing right. And gosh, I think I'm at a loss for answers. I haven't really seen anything that looks too positive from them here. Like, I don't know how to say it in a more friendly way, but I think they got some decent looks here with Monki on the Ambessa, but yeah, unfortunately, they're just way too behind here for this to work. You know, they're able to find the pick onto Hope, but these champions AL have drafted for themselves are just so extremely powerful. You've got the Rumble just breathing fire over all of them. You got Tarzan, completely unkillable. All the CC Shanks here in no man's land.
They're sending everybody. It's a double TP down here for one person. About is gonna die in a 1v5. Shanks still gets a kill back. That's going to be huge.
Kills there is crazy, and it looks like they might not necessarily be out here.
Oh my god. Tempered Fate from Kael, a classic for him on the Bard, feeling like himself once again. AL looking to put the closing touches on this game number 1, and I hate to harp on it, but man, we set up for WE that this comp was so lethal, and I still think from ahead, this comp is so impossible to play into, but AL were able to find leads and really kind of separate WE in a lot of cases.
Let's see here, Seraphine all going out there, the Encore. I don't even know what exactly they're fishing for. Oh, looks like they got Flandre's flash from
also, yeah, Enchanted Chrysolaire also got used.
Honestly, not bad at all. The Baron still has about 90 seconds left, and you've only lost the mid lane tower here. Although AL is still on the map, still wanting to apply pressure. This was the Encore.
Observers, no, observers. Oh no! They bounced out of the bot lane. Meanwhile, at the base.
It's pretty tanky, man. It's pretty tanky.
Okay. Oh, he tried to predict. He tried to get about with the impale. but it's not going to be enough. Tempered Fate did come through. They're going to get the Istall's impact. Oh my God, Tarzan, watch the Mazel video. That's incredible. He timed it so beautifully. Shout outs to Zale and shout outs to AL, who feel a lot more like themselves against the competition that they should be smashing.
That's a kill.
Gold up. Flandre is going to go down, but not before doing a ton of damage. That's 1,100 gold right back. Golden eclipse from the skies, and it's like we're watching Arcane Season 2 all over again. It's going to be AL trying to close down this mid and bot with the super minions.
Yeah, I mean, AL low-key styling on them. You can see Tarzan just feeling himself, going for the flash impale. I think he honestly kind of knew that he doesn't even need to hit that. Just with about having no flash, you can't really defend that as the Ashe there. Bard is just so effective into these immobile champions. You can't dodge the Tempered Fate, and really good combo, actually. I haven't really seen it before, but just Tempered Fate into Ishtall's impact, that's a really, really powerful combo. You're almost never surviving that without flash, right? So you gotta love the draft here from AL. I mean, who needs Tabe? I mean, they've got some tricks, man.
I think, you know, it might be a sore spot. I don't know. For me, it's the fact that he timed the run-up with the Ishtall's impact to the exact timing that the Tempered Fate turned up, which is just, that's insane, because the build-up on that Ishtall's impact takes forever to get to high speed, so hey, shout out to the GOAT. They did get another dragon during all that, so they do put themselves on Soul Point, but massive leads across the board, about a 3K individual lead for Shanks over Karis. Meanwhile, there's 2,000 gold leads on top and ADC. Going to feel really nice for AL. Again, this is a team that has lost 4 games in a row, 2 series in a row in 2-0 fashion, and looked very unlike themselves in the mid-game. There's no worries of that here in game number 1, as they should be handling this series, and so far they are.
Yeah, they're looking to close this one out tutorial style, get to the inhibitors, and then everybody group up for the third one, take the objectives as is necessary. About caught.
Oh, on top of the equalizer as well. They can't really step up, but that will go down. Minions are going to be coming out as all 5 members of AL trying to struggle what to do next, I guess. They're winning too hard. The stake is too buttery, fools, as they just need to find a way to crack that final piece of the base open.
I mean, absolutely. They've just got complete spoils of war here. They've got the pick of the litter. They can do absolutely whatever it is that they want. And, you know, frankly, they're waiting for these minions, these super minions to reach into the base, and now WE is going to get picked apart. You can't be everywhere all at once, and AL is just going to overwhelm them here.
Oh my God, he wanted it so bad. He was waiting. He's like, oh, I want to impale, but I don't have flash. Unfortunately for WE, they're going to have to answer that bot lane. Monki has been sent, and Cube has also been sent, but his sending was to the graveyard, as Flandre will take down his opposition in the top side now. Tarzan and AL have full control of WE's base. Tempered Fate's going to go in, go a little bit wide there, and try to get this equalizer in. Karis taking a brunt of damage. As the final siege looks like it is nigh. AL with a domineering game number 1 over WE. One final desperate engage from Monki as the Gold Eclipse claims 1. Another kill claims another, and there's the encore coming through now on top of it, but it is a very silent song from WE, as unfortunately they will be wiped clean of this Summoner's Rift, only to etch-a-sketch themselves into game number 2 as AL take game 1.
GG. Yeah, I think as AL, you've got one of the most important cards. You've got the Kael on the roams, and you saw just how much he was able to get done on that Bard that game. He was completely putting in some work, and honestly, that early game, a lot of it's thanks to him. It looks like WE, their coach, or they really had some prep about what AL's level 1 was going to look like, so they were able to kind of finesse their way towards that first blood. You know, they were able to catch out Kael, but ever since that one mistake that did take place, it didn't seem like there was almost anything else that went WE's way for the rest of the game. Honestly, AL had a lot of really good macro, a lot of really good team play, and this type of composition, they knew exactly how to pilot it and exactly what to avoid doing against WE's comp, and it was a pretty tutorial style win. They just beat them as you're supposed to.
They just beat them. I like that.
They're just better, man.
They just beat them. Tarzan is apparently still the king of the jungle when it comes to monkeys, and that's going to reign true until they make Tarzan. Was there a second one? I don't know. Tarzan, whatever the next one is. But I do really want to harp on the fact that AL looked a lot cleaner. It's against worse competition, obviously, than what they've been facing recently, and that's something to think about. But I came into this one saying that this needs to be a confidence builder for AL. Yes, we're in a double round robin, but damn, man, you can't be losing games like they've been losing. You got to show a little bit of fight, a little bit of love, and I think we see them in a very confident position, able to execute from the front, which sometimes has been a little bit questionable for them. And that, at least for AL fans all around, has got to feel a bit good.
Yeah, it absolutely does, because both of these teams coming in on pretty big losing streaks, WE's being twice the size of AL's, the 8 loss streak versus the 4. But both these teams really wanted to come into this series tonight and break those loss streaks. Unfortunately, only one of those teams is going to be able to do that. But at least for me, what I would like to see is the WE to at least take one game. And if you can't take a game, I want to at least see them have a lead, at least see them have an opportunity or some kind of favorability, anything at all that makes me see some promise from this team. Because as I've been watching them, I'm quite a believer in Karis myself. I really think he's pretty good. You saw he was completely cooking that early game against Shanks. It was honestly, a lot of it was thanks to that first blood, which meant he was able to get level 2 from the first wave and just zone him. And you would think that would net them a pretty huge advantage. But unfortunately, I think that they just didn't sync up as a team very well to facilitate, securing the objectives together. From playing a bit of, competitive myself, it can happen where you just assume, oh, this objective is pretty simple. I'm just going to start this up. You guys go do your thing. And this is going to be pretty, but you can never count out the possibility that the enemy team is looking for a really opportune contest. And AL contested the objective really well in the early game. And after that, they just had a better macro fundamental understanding of how to play. And this really helps answer the questions of, are they able to help prove and rebound from this sore spot that they've found themselves at?
Yeah. And this is obviously tongue-in-cheek, a little bit of fun, but they made Ash Seraphine look pretty balanced, and that's always a good thing.
I don't know how they did that. That's a pretty.
I don't know how they did that either. But a little thing as well is that AL did win their first game on red side of the split, which is going to feel really good after only winning on blue side. But I think Tarzan deserves a ton of praise for this game, at least. Much more like himself, much more aggressive, much more just keep the pedal to the metal and force decisions from the enemy jungle. And while the first pathing, yes, was very kind of ships in the night, get your full clears, go somewhere else, don't contest objectives in a lot of ways because WE didn't want to. It still was a lot of these moments, a lot of the kind of in-between moments afterward where he's just consistently getting lockdowns, completely shutting down multiple parts of WE when they're a team fight-centric team, and being able to kind of, like I said, lead from the front, which is a common theme for AL in a lot of these.
Yeah, we wanted to see Tarzan on a more damage-heavy carry champion, but somehow I think he makes the Skarner kind of look like that. Like, just the way he's moving, man. He be just drifting and sliding around the map, just, stunning that guy, ulting that guy, burning those guys' sums, taking this objective, that objective. He was just putting in work on the Skarner,
I get PTSD when I see him pick Skarner, because I remember when I was in Xi'an and watching him pick Skarner in a do or die game in the playoffs in game number 4 and just absolutely losing when Skarner wasn't even reworked yet. So I think
he had the spires, like you had to collect it at level 1.
No, like he had the breeds of root, but then they nerfed him a bunch after he had gotten released. But in the end, at least this is a little bit redeeming point for me. I'd say that his Skarner still looks pretty damn lethal. And being able to kind of have that team-wide lockdown against a comp that really relies on the kind of multiple pieces coming together that WE had drafted for themselves. It's got to feel good to kind of keep that game plan in mind and be able to execute it. But I guess that's where we start asking ourselves what this MVP is looking like. Do you also agree that it's Tarzan, or do you think it's somebody else?
I mean, I think Tarzan immediately jumps to mind, of course. It seems like the obvious answer, and almost always the obvious answer is the correct answer. I'm trying to think if there's another alternative, and I think it would only probably be Kael. just because he was putting in a lot of work on the Bard. But if anything, he was more of the supportive crew for Tarzan. I really feel like Tarzan was spearheading a lot of the momentum from this game, and Kael was just there to back up, which is exactly what we wanted to see from AL, and something that we did not quite see from WE, you know, from Monki and Arha. So yeah, personally, I think MVP here should go to Tarzan, and I think that it's a lot of it off the back of that support jungle duo.
Like it, yeah, it just does a little good in my heart to see them actually perform together once again. You get Nocturne ulted.
This happens all the time, man. They got a nerf Nocturne, but this guy has Axiom Arc or
Call
something.
Vayne, bro. Call Vayne. Vayne will take care of Nocturne. It's fine.
Facts.
Tarzan does get MVP for game number 1, rightfully
Good.
so on his Skarner, and I guess that starts to beg the question of like, what do we need to see from WE? Feels like their comp was pretty damn good. Do you have, before we go off into the break sunset, do you have any kind of words of wisdom for WE?
Well, I have found myself on some teams that have been completely winless, completely chopped. Nobody believes in each other. We're just playing because we've got a match on the schedule and we know we're probably going to lose, but we're doing our absolute best. And if there's one thing that you can think and that you can believe in when you're on a team like that, you got nothing to lose, Mazel. Nothing.
That's goated mindset.
So
Goated mindset.
just throw everything you can
Just do it.
at the wall. Do something extremely unexpected, something that AL has never seen, that nobody has ever seen. Break the meta,
Warwick support.
redefine everything. I want to see them really change things up going into game 2.
All right, well, let's see it. Before we get going, though, if you would like to support the LPL English project, please consider becoming a Coffee member, as Coffee is the best way to support the LPL English project, and a vast majority of the payments go directly to the show itself, either paying all the volunteers that make this a, weekly moment, since we do have a couple days off now. It's weird. But please, it does help in every way to pay for broadcast package, to help pay for all of these volunteers. And you get early access to a lot of content and stuff, and especially when we do interviews around internationals. Make sure you go become a Coffee member if you want to support us, and we will be back for game number 2